Alrighty guys, welcome back to the channel and more Victory at Sea coverage here as we continue our little mini-series here on submarines and submarine rules. So today we're going to get into ways to detect and deal with subs that are not just on the surface, which makes it a little bit easier, but finding ways to basically get subs that are submerged or running deep and sort of either destroy them down there with like depth charges or get them to potentially surface and things like that. So subs have, of course, many built-in advantages and are just notoriously difficult to spot, especially with poor visibility and nighttime fighting and stuff like that. But you do have some options here and there. So first up, detecting subs. So any ship that does not have the civilian type may try to detect a sub before it makes any attacks. So in order to detect a submerged or running deep sub, a ship must be within 8 of it and make a successful crew quality check. So key ability there, and if you're currently suffering from various crits and other damage to your crew, obviously things will be a little bit tougher for you there throughout the game. But the modifiers shown on the detection chart here, we'll get into those in a minute, will be used to affect that. And if successful, the submarine has been detected. However, you can only detect one sub in each turn, and a detected sub will remain so until the end phase, just because then it's so easy for them to slip away and will have to be detected again. And here's another bit of the advantages that subs have. So only ships with sub hunter may try to detect a sub that is running deep. So if you know that your opponent does not have that and you really do need to get away, just get to start running deep, and really they can't do anything to you. Other ships, so basically if they don't have sub hunter, they don't have the specialized equipment necessary to do that. So again, another great escape mechanism there. But what can you do to deal with those subs? So depth charges. The only weapon that may be used to attack a submerged or running deep sub is a depth charge, or there's some similar weapons in the game as well, like hedgehogs. So by the same token, a depth charge may not be used to attack or used against any other target. Attacks are performed in the same way as any other weapon, and depth charges always hit their target on a 5-up, regardless of any other modifiers, and have the weapon profile shown below. We'll take a look at that in just a moment, guys. Squids and hedgehogs are counted as depth charges in all respects, with the exception that they fire into the fore arc instead of the aft arc. And another little bit here on poor visibility. So subs were notoriously difficult to spot when on the surface at night or in bad weather, and many of their captains took advantage of that, of course. So let you be a little bit more aggressive here as a sub player if you're in those conditions. So if the battle is taking place at night or in bad weather, surface subs can't be spotted, period, until they're within 10 inches of a ship. So I mean, that just gives you great opportunity to choose when and how you want to engage there. And they're only automatically spotted if you're within 3, which is literally like right on top of somebody, right? So lets you really build an attack to your advantage. Now, taking a look at the detection chart here, so there's some positives and negatives here. Actually, really just a couple negatives, but if the ship has the sub hunter trait, it's going to be much easier for you. You get a +2 modifier. But if the sub, on the other hand, has the silent trait, it gets a -1 to your attempt. And if it's running deep, it's also -2. So those things all stack. Now, if you were detected or surfaced in the previous turn, that's going to make it more easy for you to be spotted. And similarly, if you fired a torpedo in this turn or the last, obviously that's going to help people detect you. So you got lots of little factors there. And I think it just emphasizes the point that really you should try and engage when things are the most favorable for you here, because again, having been surfaced or fired your torps and not really achieving anything from that will make it a little bit tough for you, and you're making it easier for yourself to be spotted in turn. And the subs just really aren't all that difficult to destroy when they do take some damage. They just don't have a giant pool of hit points. And then depth charges here, guys. So pretty simple. So rear arc only, but as it mentions up above, squids and hedgehogs are 4 arc. Really just a 3-inch range. 1 attack dice, and however when they do connect, it's 2 on the damage dice, and slow loading, which makes sense as well. So there you have that little bit of starting to deal with subs. So first, how do you detect them? The real offense you can take against them when they're below the water with the depth charges, and starting to get into some of the effects of visibility and other battle conditions. So we'll continue on in our next video with looking at more of those conditions and other ways of spotting and dealing with subs. But hopefully that gives you guys a little idea on how that part of playing with or against the subs works. So again, it really is in many ways large or largely geared towards the subs having a good advantage. That being said, if you do run into an enemy that has lots of ships with sub 100 and other things like that, where they're able to really sort of start ganging up on you and start dropping depth charges, it's going to be a little bit rough for you. Even if they just need a 5-up, eventually they will connect, and depth charges will hurt. So and again, subs aren't really particularly well armored or anything either, so the damage will very quickly deal with you there. But these rules also kind of help emphasize, how you should be playing subs. So again, if you're going to surface, obviously you have advantages in night and bad weather. So use that to your advantage there when you're planning your game and getting set up for attacks. But also just making attacks when they're really going to count. Subs really you don't want to necessarily try and engage in just kind of like throwaway attacks or anything like that, where you're just throwing some dice to hopefully connect with something. Because again, the return fire is likely going to hurt you pretty bad there. So again, subs aren't really going to take much damage, and if you're just firing away and not really accomplishing much, it's going to be a little bit harder for you to then run away again. So be very careful when you're on the surface, and use those torps to max effect, and pick your best targets to engage with. So let us know how you guys feel about the subs as we continue on here. Again, what are your tactics with various fleets that you've been using for depth charges, and just how well have you fared or not fared against opponents when you have been running subs, or if it's been sub versus sub. But let us know in the comments, guys. Smash that like and subscribe as well, helps us keep growing. And if you do want to support us a little bit more, check out the link in the description. That will help grow the channel there, and support us if you head over to Warlord from that and pick anything up. And then also, if you do want your local store to start carrying Warlord, if they don't already, there's also some info there for you. Thanks so much for hanging out, guys. We will continue on with some more sub coverage here in the next couple of videos.